we reject the notion that Antwerp or Brussels or Belgium or anywhere in the nation states of the G7 possesses the right to be the single node for our minerals. Because diamonds mean everything to us.
In what is likely to cause a seismic shift in the modus operandi of the diamond trade, the EU announced that all rough diamonds above 0.5 carats will by September 2024 have to be registered on a blockchain-based ledger to ensure traceability from the mine to the finger. Botswana argues that sending all diamonds to Antwerp for certification would cause a logistical nightmare and increase costs for African diamond producers. Hello and welcome back to our channel, where we delve into topics related to Africa. Join us as we unravel the complexities surrounding this pivotal decision, explore its potential impacts on diamond-producing economies in Africa, in particular Botswana, and its far-reaching consequences on Africa. Botswana has rejected plans by the G7, a group of Western countries, to have all African diamonds sent to Antwerp, Belgium for certification. The new development is that there should be only one channel where diamonds are valued, polished, and that is in Belgium. For a diamond to be G7 certified, it must pass through a central import hub in Belgium. Now let's look into the background. On December 6th, the G7, comprising of Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the United States, and the United Kingdom, announced its latest sanctions, aimed at limiting Russia's ability to fund its illegal war, as stated in their joint declaration. In an effort to avoid circumvention, these sanctions will be accompanied by a traceability-based diamond verification and certification mechanism that will be phased in from March 1st, 2024.
Analysts say it's essential to introduce a system to trace the diamonds every step of the way, from the mine to the jewelry store.
Concerns are mounting over its implications, particularly for countries like Botswana and the broader African diamond-producing nations.
We have explained to them that we expect that at the very least, Gaborone, Botswana would be a node of rough. And the issue they are dealing with is an issue that they thought about and made decisions on to do with their conflict that Russia and Ukraine are involved in, and their determination to sanction Russia and in this way sanction Russian diamonds. That is their decision.
Diamond-producing countries, in particular Botswana, fear that G7 countries certifying diamonds in Belgium will negatively impact African countries, and most especially the Botswana-De Beers deal, which sets Botswana on a higher pedestal of making more profits from proceeds of diamonds. Botswana claims that such a move, which is designed to enforce sanctions on Russian diamonds, would cause a logistical nightmare and increase costs for African diamond producers. Botswana, which recently took a decision to beneficiate, has diamond exports of 70%, bringing the GDP to 30%. The G7 move, they say, is simply another way of countering Botswana's diamond beneficiation, as well as stopping the country's dream of turning Gaborone into one of the biggest global diamond cities. The decision threatens to regress Botswana's progress in terms of economic and human resource development, all of which have been carried by Botswana's Diamonds for Development policy. Now, according to Cook, effectively, African producers would be forced to send all their diamonds in one direction rather than choosing, and ethical African diamonds will become much more expensive, Cook said.
And consistent with our determination to generate a knowledge-based economy, a knowledge-intensive economy, any data accumulation, any regulatory intention or actions that would have an impact on our total economy will have to be done with our participation, including even the construct of how it is done and co-location. We hold firm to that view.
Botswana's Minister of Minerals said that he made it abundantly clear to the G7 that his country was opposed to the proposal. Lefoko Mwangi added that it would pose a threat to national sovereignty, given the central role that diamonds play in the Botswanan economy, contributing more than 2/3 of the budget's revenue. Now, Minister of Finance Peggy Sarami has also described the import certification of diamonds in Antwerp, Belgium, as a threat to Botswana's diamond beneficiation. Delivering her 2024-2025 budget speech, she had this to say, that the decision by the G7 countries to streamline certification of diamonds may have adverse effects on Botswana's economy. There are several risks which, if not mitigated, can reverse some of the macro-physical gains achieved so far. These include risks in the diamond sector stemming from weak economic activities, particularly in the beneficiation subsector, will also be worsened by the G7 plan to verify the origin of non-Russian goods through diamond certification in Antwerp, Belgium. In addition, this may have adverse effects on the country's ability to accumulate foreign exchange reserves and government revenue, Sarami said. The government also questioned why the G7 wants to introduce a new system of certifying diamonds where no loopholes have been pointed out in the Kimberley process that was adopted in 2023 to keep so-called conflict diamonds from the market. Now, the Kimberley process is an international certification scheme aimed at preventing the trade of conflict diamonds. It is not being utilized in this scenario. Instead, the focus shifts towards a system that mandates African diamonds to be certified in Antwerp, Belgium. But why did it take Europe 2 years to sanction Russian diamonds? The Russian Federation owns a 33% stake in mining company Alarosa. Now, diamonds contribute to Russia's government's revenue and is said to contribute to the war effort. Diamonds featured prominently in this round of measures, perhaps because the group had delayed a policy decision on how to handle Russia's diamond supply.
These glitzy videos are produced by a mining company in Siberia. A third of the world's diamonds come from here. When Russia invaded Ukraine, foreign sanctions hit Russian coal, gas, vodka, caviar, but these stones have continued to be exported all over the world. The European Union has held off from a ban, largely because Belgium was keen to protect this city, Antwerp, the diamond capital of the world. This is where diamonds are polished in factories like this one. And more than 80% of all rough diamonds that are mined across the globe are traded here in the city of Antwerp. This is the gateway to the world for Russian diamonds.
The EU's protection of Belgium for 2 years amid fears of market share relocation to Dubai and India, rather than sanctioning Russia, underscores the economic interests at stake. Botswana and other African countries have therefore rejected the proposal to centralize diamond certification in Belgium as part of sanctions targeting Russia's diamond revenue. New sanctions on Russia will fast-track the adoption of a traceability program across the supply chain. The prolonged deliberation by the EU highlights the prioritization of member states' economic welfare. You see, the US banned import of diamonds from Russia in March 2022, but left a loophole allowing for polished stones transformed from Russia rough in third countries. They were soon followed by the UK. The EU stayed silent and delayed implementing any restrictions out of concerns that such measures would place Belgium at a disadvantage in its competition with Dubai, as well as Mumbai and Tel Aviv, for market share as the premier rough trading center. This would have meant the death of Antwerp as the global diamond hub, said an official who requested anonymity. What is on the table is the survival of Antwerp. The United Arab Emirates, India, and Israel have not implemented any restrictions on Russia-origin diamonds. Now, this underscores a broader geopolitical dynamics where the interest of the powerful nations and economic blocs supersedes those of others. So the survival of Antwerp at the detriment of African diamond producers. Now, during the consultation with industry stakeholders, proposals were made, including one advocating for adherence to the Kimberley process and another suggestion made by Belgium, proposing that all diamonds destined for G7 countries be certified by Belgium to ensure they are not of Russian origin. However, this proposal was met with skepticism due to concerns about Belgium monopolizing diamond centers and the potential financial burden on diamonds. Now, Belgium's proposal became a contentious issue within the EU, leading to a conditional agreement regarding sanctions. The EU's subsequent adoption of Belgium's proposal marked a significant development. The EU assigns the Belgian Federal Public Service Economy at the Antwerp Diamond Office as the authority responsible for verification. This will be another drastic change to the diamond supply chain. Now, depending on the precise modalities, this will require, at a minimum in the early phases, the rerouting of a substantial share of global diamond production through Belgium.
The EU has signed off on a 12th package of sanctions against Russia, almost 2 years after its full-scale invasion of Ukraine. A ban on Russian diamonds mined, processed and produced in Russia, as well as Russian diamonds processed and produced in other countries, is one of the key provisions, in line with the agreement at the G7. The more sanctions that are imposed, however, the more difficult it gets to carve out new ones, especially if countries feel their economies are getting hit.
In December, G7 nations announced a direct ban on Russian diamonds starting January 1st, followed by a phase-in restrictions on indirect imports of Russian gems from around March 1st. A new system to trace the origin of the gems will be introduced in September. Belgium supports the idea of checks in Antwerp, the world's main diamond hub. Can you imagine a country without a single diamond mine? It's the world's main diamond hub, and now wants to monopolize the diamond supply chain at the detriment of diamond-producing countries in Africa. Should any country wish to sell their diamonds into the group of G7 countries, companies will have to prove their goods were sourced from non-Russian production. The fourth stage, which took effect on January 1st, banned direct imports of diamonds from Russia. On March 1st, the sanctions will be extended to diamonds above 1 carat that were sourced Russian rough or polished in a third country, addressing the loophole that existed in the original US sanctions. Finally, beginning September 1st, the restrictions will include lab-grown diamonds, jewelry, and watches containing diamonds above 0.50 carats. As currently, many diamonds from African producer countries enter the international market through Dubai. Now, who in their right mind will give away control of their supply chain? Now, during a visit to Botswana, a G7 delegation failed to give concrete answers when asked by journalists how the proposed certification system would differ from the Kimberley process. Let's look at the US and EU actions. Importing jewelers will be allowed to self-verify and certify to customs that the diamonds they are importing are not coming from Russia. This is seen as a double standard compared to the proposed certification system for African diamonds. In fact, the US Embassy in Botswana has said the verification and certification of diamonds in Belgium is good for Africa. If the verification and certification of African diamonds in Belgium, Antwerp, is good for African diamond producers, why is the US allowing and assuring its diamond importers that they can verify and self-certify their imported diamonds as non-Russian diamonds? Why is the G7 looking into providing exemptions to Canada, which just happens to be the only diamond-producing country from the G7? Isn't it for the protection of their economy? Now my question is, why should African countries lose much needed revenue and add cost to their diamond supply chain? Does that even make sense? This preferential treatment raises questions about the fairness in the proposed system. Is this proposed system geared towards the protection of G7 countries only, at the expense of countries like Botswana, where the GDP heavily relies on diamond revenue? Let me know your opinion in the comment section below. This leads to a critical question regarding why African diamond producing countries are not afforded similar privileges. Now, Botswana, for instance, boasts a robust system audited annually by 13 companies. So who exactly wins and loses in this G7 proposal? Canada's diamonds will gain a competitive advantage over African diamonds, as it will be self-certifying its own diamonds and will not have to send its diamonds to Belgium for certification, thereby not incurring additional cost, while African diamonds will become much more expensive in the market due to the proposal to have them sent to Belgium. Russian diamonds will also have a competitive advantage over African diamonds. Diamond beneficiation and knowledge development plan by Botswana will fail. Botswana, which depends heavily on diamonds, will lose revenue. US jewelers will also self-certify and not incur cost. So who exactly wins or loses in this proposal? Certainly, the losers are not going to be the G7 countries. The only losers here will be the African countries if they accept this ridiculous proposal. We want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on the new verification and certification process and the potential cost it brings to African countries? How do you perceive the G7's role in protecting its members' interests? Join the conversation by sharing your opinions in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more updates on events taking place on our continent. Don't forget to also give us a thumbs up and share it with your friends and family. Your support helps us in delivering informative content. Thank you for watching, and until next time, goodbye.